welcome to Xena, Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera, and I am joined, as always, by my two bubbling over co-hosts.
Okay, hi.
Katie.
Hello.
And Livy.
Hi!
Oh my goodness, we are back to talk about Xena. Yes, we have our Autolycus double feature of Tsunami and Vanishing Act to break down today. Mm-hmm. But before we get to it, let's hit some stoof that we need to take care of.
Yeah, what's the stoof? Oh, so we have put out a call for questions and comments for our next mailbag.
Hermes mailbag.
Our next Hermes mailbag.
Hermes
mailbag.
I think it's so funny that name is sticking.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is now.
It is.
It's been a hot minute since we did the last one, so we wanted to do another one as we wind down with season 3 once we're finished to kind of put a big cap on this big old season.
Well, not only that, it's halfway through the show.
Yeah,
like,
it's
that's
the halfway
what's
point.
happening.
Oh my god, I hadn't done the math on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's 6 seasons divided by 2.
It's
It's half.
So yeah, that definitely seems like a moment where we should pause and like take stock.
Yeah.
So send
Sorry.
us your questions. It can be about anything, just like last time.
Yep.
But obviously we'd love to gear it a bit towards our season 3 journey. So any lingering...
Doesn't have to be, guys. Seriously, anything is fine. Just
All right,
saying.
dude. All right. Vera doesn't want to talk about season 3, so there you go.
Ribbed.
Other item of business, our Patreon. Patreon. What's going on at Patreon? Well, we recently put up a poll so that our patrons could decide the topic of one of our next minisodes. The 3 battling out contestants were Battle of the Lukes, where we were just going to talk about our favorite Xena Lukes. That was a popular one, but it did not win.
You'll never know, guys.
You'll never
That's
know
it.
which Luke is our fave. We also had genre deep dive melodrama, where we were going to talk about all things melodrama and how that applies to Xena. That was also popular, but it did not win. The winner of our poll is queer baiting and why Xena doesn't qualify. So look out for that. That's going to be available to everybody. Yeah, we're eager to talk about this very important issue.
What else? You had some thank yous.
Yes, we have some thank yous for this week. So cue
Alanis.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim Taborn.
Woo!
Thank you, Wendy.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Andy. That's it.
That's it. Thank you,
you, guys.
guys. Thank you.
Oh, so beautiful when you sing Alanis.
All right, shall we hit this episode?
Let's do it.
Woohoo! I'm very excited,
Yeah, all right.
actually, about these.
Yeah, me too. Well, certainly. I'm excited to talk about Tsunami. Is that weird?
No.
I don't think it's weird. I actually think both of these are really fun. I'd say that one is definitely superior to the other, but they're both really delightful.
Yeah.
And I think they both show off Autolycus in
Right.
these different, interesting ways.
Different sides.
Yeah, different sides. 2 sides.
Sure, guys.
Different issues.
Right. All right, well, let's get started with 319 Tsunami, written by Chris Mannheim and directed by John Lang.
You may remember director John Lang from When in Rome. A
Yes.
fabulous showcase for a director.
Yeah.
I praised him especially in that episode for his use of lighting. And he has a particular challenge in that arena here with Tsunami.
I think this one is really well directed.
Really well directed.
Like, you never lose the plot, like, spatially in
That's
the boat.
a good point.
I feel like,
Yeah. You always have a sense of, like, what's happening. And, like, he really ratchets up the tension, I think, in a really natural way. And he figures out ways to light them when there's no light in that hold.
Forgive me because I don't really remember the name of this guy, but I do believe that lighting, while yes, a director is in charge of it, I do believe that for this TV show, at least, the DP, the cinematographer, does a lot of that, because I remember reading some... Well, it's on the season 3 DVD extra features. Like, the DP is like, well, I had to light this, and it was a challenge. Because, like, where do I put the lights?
Yes, the purview of
yeah.
cinematography.
Yeah, I just wanted to, give some credit.
Credit where it's due.
Exactly.
You're right.
But John Ling certainly had his challenges as a director, because the entirety of this thing was, like, a set within, like, a box full of water, and they almost killed everyone at one point. But anyway.
We'll talk about it.
Yes. So this episode begins with, I don't know, a scene from like a Disney cartoon. Am I crazy?
It's straight out of like Little Mermaid.
Is it Little Mermaid?
Or
is it
Frozen?
Pocahontas maybe?
Or all of them.
Well, like basically dudes loading up a ship and singing about it.
That sounds like Little Mermaid.
Okay, then there you go.
And Frozen.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how we start, and we're like on a dock, and Gabrielle is inside a little like hut getting her palm read.
I was amused by the palm reader's look.
It was very specific.
It's very specific. I would say that the specificity is palm reader.
Yes, she was very of that type. And I liked her. I like because it like immediately gave you like what this episode is about in case you missed the trailer for it. She's like, you're going on a long voyage
With a tall, dark, and handsome stranger. Except he's not a stranger. Maybe she doesn't say stranger. She's just like a man.
A man.
I see a man.
And then Xena, like, who clearly does not believe in anything, really, is like, oh, let me guess, it's tall, dark, and handsome. And the lady's
She's
like,
describing
yeah.
herself.
Yeah.
Oh! Y'all.
I really like the shots of Xena through the beaded curtain.
Me too. Yeah. These might be, of all the beaded curtains on this show, like
The best.
they're so pretty, I have to say. I just like how they look. Yeah, there's like a purpley, pinkish quality. They're nice.
They're often shot a little bit out of focus, so they're
Yes.
just like these like glimmering lights. It's very nice.
Does this need a coin?
Yeah.
Why don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, man, so many are going to go in.
I have, yes. Because I am confused starting in this episode, continuing on into the next episode of where they are and the like costume design of background extras and like main characters are very interesting in the sense that I just don't understand where they are when they're supposed to be in like Mykonos in the next one. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Even here, this palm reader, I mean, she's clearly meant to be othered in some way.
Yeah.
As for some reason all palm readers are. It's very silly that way.
Tropey.
I like this because it's playing a little bit on a quality that Gabrielle has, which is that she's always looking for that thing that she's a believer. She doesn't know what she believes, but she's always
She's the Mulder.
She is. She is the
Cena's
Mulder.
the Scully.
It's true. So you have her getting her palm read, and it seems like maybe she's buying it, and then right at the end, after great, terrible danger and death, she's like, oh. Did you hear that? She just described every day of our lives. And I love that she actually isn't a believer in this moment.
Right.
She believes, but she doesn't believe. Yeah.
I also really liked how, the palm reader starts off describing the episode. Like, yes, this episode's about them going on this ship. But Gabrielle, after hearing it, reveals, no, we're just here buying supplies, which I thought was really cool. Because you're like, oh.
Yeah, I wonder where they were going. What was it? This was just a shopping trip.
It was.
Gone wrong.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is, it's a little bit later, but while Gabrielle's, like, having an adventure, like, you cut back to Xena buying some rope.
Yeah.
And she's just, like, literally really into, like, the rope she's buying.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Girl loves rope.
So Xena doesn't really believe in the palm reader because she's like, well, it's not in, like, reading your palms, like, your fate is, like, in your hands.
Oh, I liked that line.
It was very Caesar from Destiny.
It was. Well, I think Caesar and Xena have a lot in common.
Or Caesar made a huge impression on Xena.
Yeah, also
and she shares some of that now.
But you're right. Your future is what you make of it.
Yeah.
It's in your hands, not in your palms. That definitely sounds like something Caesar could say.
And then Gabrielle goes to find their dinner, and then it's where Xena goes off to buy the rope.
Of course she's going to find the dinner.
So I really loved the use of the crane shot here. It was like a huge, like reveal of there's a boat here, and we're on a dock.
Both these episodes have, I assume, the same set with the dock, the little, like, seaside town and then the big ass boat right there. And the production values are great with that.
And I really loved how they look like they're different villages. It's not like, you know,
Is
your
it
typical...
because of the unwise costuming that seems a bit Middle Eastern?
I think that the geography, like, I feel like in the next episode, the geography of, like, that guy lives, like, right on that dock and, you know, has, like, a view of the beach
and of course
stuff.
there's PAX right there.
Well, right, but I was like, dude, his
town.
house, like, that real estate property is, like, the best. It just really felt like a seaside town, and this feels like a port, you know?
Shout out to the B-roll in both of these, especially the next one. Really pretty.
Well,
beaches and sky.
Sometimes you gotta
water.
put that in when your episode doesn't have.
I know.
actual main.
It was actually really pretty. Like some of the prettiest so far.
All right, so back to Tsunami and this boat. It is revealed to be a prison ship.
Yes.
Is it Con Air?
Oh my god, it is Con Air. Does that mean Autolycus is the Nick Cage of this episode?
Is it? I don't know.
I think Bruce Campbell would like that comparison.
So a bunch of these prisoners are being loaded in, and they're on a chain gang. Like they're a chain gang, and it's revealed that they have been sold to work in this mine.
This feels very of now. Privatized prisons using prisoners as a workforce.
Right.
Very relevant.
Orange is the New Black.
That's true too.
The captain of this ship is that dude from the first episode of Xena who tried to round up Gabrielle.
What? Is it really?
It's that guy.
Wow, nice to see him again.
Yeah, it's that guy. This
Yeah.
episode is filled with, like, you know, peeps from season 1, except for Petrides.
Hector, I think. Was that his name?
I don't remember his name.
Good times.
But yeah, so he's the captain, and he's like...
He doesn't get much to work with this episode.
No, but he was good.
He makes an impression.
Yeah, he makes an
I mean,
impression.
This episode is great because you have all these side characters, and they each kind of individually do make an impression.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons this episode is really good when you compare it to like something like The Dirty Half Dozen or whatever, where you're like,
The Dirty Six, that's
or
what we
a
call
fistful of dinars.
Yeah, just
you know, every past attempt of this, in my opinion, and I think all of our opinions, was a fail, and this was like a success.
You want like group of randos working with your heroes. You want
yeah.
to have them be compelling in some way.
Yeah,
and I feel that's true of most of these.
Yeah. And I think it helps that it's such an intense situation. You know, you can just compare how people react to it.
Yeah.
And I think there is something just appealing in that. Like in Dirty Six, you had like just this elaborate plot that they were all getting together to do. It's just bit off too much for it to chew because you had to fill everybody in on like these people's backstory and then also fill them in on like what they're doing now. And it was
that's the thing. You
lot.
don't know the backstory of like all of these people.
Yeah.
You're just like
Just
given
what's
people
relevant
and
to-
and how they
yeah.
how they would behave in the situation. So I think it really worked out for them here. So yeah, you see our like hero cons here, and then
Hero cons.
one of them is Autolycus, and you're like, oh my god,
What's he doing here?
No, that's
Things
what Gabrielle sees.
Things have gone really wrong for him.
Yes, so she's like, oh my god, Autolycus, like you shouldn't be here, and kind of like gets involved, which kind of leads her onto the ship.
And he's trying to get rid of her.
Yeah, he's trying to get rid of her. The captain's like, Miss! I thought it was really funny. He was like, Miss! like, you know, like...
At least he wasn't going, ma'am.
That's true. That's her mother. So yeah, you know, everyone's like trying to like calmly like get this woman off this prison boat. She wouldn't have it. And then I guess a fight breaks out. She tries to free Autolycus, and like you can't try to free a con, so like now she's arrested too.
Yeah, and he gets punched out. He tries to
Yeah.
stick up for her and gets punched out, which I thought was a nice detail. I was like, oh no, Autolycus.
She also does a good job fighting.
Yeah.
For the most
This
part.
is the only fight in the episode, really. Unless you
yeah.
count the underwater
Fighting
thing.
versus the water. Oh yeah.
like the, Macon versus Xena
Yes,
at the end.
yes.
But so I like that it's just Renee holding her own.
Right.
She gets to be the only fight scene.
Yeah.
That's how good she is now.
Oh. This is where Xena's like off buying
Yeah.
ropes peacefully.
She's like, I'll take this one.
And this one.
This one.
And we have that same situation as in, oh God, what is that episode?
Lost Mariner.
Yes, where Gabrielle is stuck on a boat that's leaving, and she's like, Xena! And Xena's like, what the fuck? Again.
She's on a boat, motherfucker. Look at her now.
So Xena has to do the same kind of thing that she had to do in the Lost
The
Mariner.
exact same thing.
And flip it out right onto that boat.
It was not as impressive.
It
was
wasn't, but, that guy, the extra who, was like, whoa, as she spun around on,
I'm
the
pretty sure
uneven
that the
bars.
goons did that in Lost Mariner. So everything about the sequence was exactly
Yeah.
the same, which, it's fine because that was such an amazing sequence in Lost Mariner. I don't mind seeing a version of it again.
So she flips it onto that boat, and she's like, guess we're going on that voyage after all.
Har, har, har. The palm reader was right.
There you go.
My favorite little exchange is when Gabrielle's trying to explain things to everybody, and it's like, there's been a mistake. And Thaddeus, the owner of the prison boat, is like, yes, and you made it. I think that's his first line.
So yeah, this is where I guess we really get names to faces for our players in this episode. We have Thaddeus, the guy who owns the mine.
Mm-hmm.
He's from season 1. He played Mezentius.
Oh, yes, of course, who Gabs stabs in Remember Nothing.
Oh,
And also is in that episode where Xena tries to seduce him in the hot tub. But yeah, mostly I remember him from getting stabbed.
yep. We meet Macon, who is from my favorite episode. She's a giant killer.
Macon was the only one I immediately recognized. I was
Well,
like,
yeah.
Goliath, what are you
Look
doing
at this
here?
big old Nathan Fillion face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I see that.
When he's smaller, as you see it, you couldn't see it.
Yeah, I
as
couldn't see
Goliath.
it when he was so big.
And then we meet Petrides.
Who totally is a boyfriend of the week
Yes,
reject.
I was gonna say he has the hair
Yeah.
of someone we have seen before in season
But
1,
not the
Season
face.
but
one,
not the
he would have
face.
been for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We are beyond.
Sensitive, floppy-haired boy man. That used to be Gabrielle's type, but you'll notice she barely even registers
No.
him.
Yeah,
He may as well not exist.
No, I know.
yeah. So we're immediately informed by Macon that Petrides is petrified most of the time.
I liked that.
Yeah, there's a lot of traits, for these
Yeah.
characters. Instead of backstories, we get a trait. Petrides is clearly afraid of stuff. Macon is the
Gross
the
one.
gross one.
They're two halves of, the same kind of type, You
Yeah.
have toxic masculinity and the product of toxic masculinity. Cowering boy man.
We also meet Thaddeus's wife, Saraya.
Saraya.
Yes.
She's got a great name.
Sure.
Saraya.
She, for some reason, really loves Thaddeus.
That is one of the most mysterious things.
It is a little mysterious. I go back and forth on their relationship a little bit because I'm kind of interested, but also at the same time I'm like, I don't know about this.
Well, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. We don't know what their life is like outside this. Clearly, he keeps her happy. They're very
devoted.
rich.
They're very rich.
He must be nice, at least to her.
Right.
And he's a bit of an oddball taking his wife on this prison boat to
I
the
know.
mines.
I know.
What is the
And
story?
isn't it established in Lost Mariner that women on boats are
Right.
bad luck?
Yes.
Well, at first I
Such
actually thought they were
nonsense.
going back to that again when Thaddeus comes up on deck and is like, oh, I didn't pay for these 2 women to be here. I thought
Right.
we were about to do that again. But
Yeah.
yeah, he has a woman with
I
him.
know. Well, that's his wife.
Yeah.
I think she looks like Laura Palmer mixed with Glory from season 5 of Buffy.
I kind of see that. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
there, guys.
I liked her. I thought she was really pretty. And I was worried about her.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's fascinating. Is that it? That's for our characters?
Yeah,
Autolycus
that's-
and Xena and Gabs.
And yes,
Yeah.
that's everybody that we care about.
That's going to be featured. Well, the
Yeah.
captain, which we already mentioned.
Yeah, the captain.
But then you have a bunch of other crewmen and
Yes.
convicts, I assume. Who
The
all
convicts just don't even see them
they
ever
just seem to
again.
vaporize.
Yeah.
They all
Yeah.
jumped off the boat.
The
That's
crewmen
true, yeah.
definitely get washed overboard. Yeah.
When Xena finds out that Autolycus is there, I liked how she was immediately suspicious and was like, chains aren't usually your look.
Ooh, which was a little flirty.
Yeah, I think that's where Katie was like, their chemistry.
I love Lucy Lawless and Bruce Campbell's chemistry. They have amazing chemistry.
She has just when she figures out that he has deliberately gotten himself arrested so he can be sent to these mines. All of her line readings are so funny.
So
Yeah.
good. She acts differently, and
Yeah,
or
with
Xena
him?
specifically
Yes.
acts differently around him. Makes faces at him.
Yeah.
Like her voice changes around him.
Yeah.
I think she's like amused by him.
I think so.
And it like comes out.
Yeah, I think she enjoys kind of ribbing on him in a way
Yes.
that you don't really see with other characters.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also really liked that cut from Xena finding out that Autolycus is on the boat to her waking him up with water, like throwing water in his face below decks. Like that's always a good one. It's always fun to see Bruce Campbell like being humiliated by Xena.
I really liked Macon's really gross line of like, I got something you can look at. Bet you'd like it too.
I mean, that established him.
We get him. We get this
Yeah.
dude. And we
Lee.
sort of get that he has a problem with Xena specifically, I think. I think a lot of the trouble that he causes over the course of the episode may just be that he resents her being in charge. He doesn't actually have any better ideas.
Right.
Like,
Right.
He just
He
doesn't
does
like that
not.
she keeps suggesting things.
Yes. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, his whole thing and how he makes fun of petrified is the fact that he himself is petrified.
Oh, deep.
So, yeah.
That is how toxic masculinity works.
So yeah, we are shown here in this moment where he like puts his chains around Petrodi's neck and like kind of like chokes him out a little bit. That's his like trademark move in this episode.
Ew.
It will come back. So the mines are full of diamonds, and of course, as you mentioned, Autolycus implanted himself in this chain gang so he could.
I guess steal
Steal
we never
some diamonds.
find out the actual plan here.
Well, yeah, he was gonna go to the
I guess
mines,
so,
steal the
just
diamonds,
pretend to be a worker.
and then get out of his chains and leave.
And hire another boat
I
and
guess
sail back.
maybe, yeah, yeah. Well,
He's
with
gonna-
diamonds, he has a
he's
lot of
gonna
diamonds. He
swim.
can bribe, you know, a
Oh.
captain or something.
All
Yeah,
right,
it's
all right.
fine.
I guess it works. Yeah. Meanwhile, Gabs goes and befriends Soraya.
Right.
What did you guys think of their
Girl
scene?
talk.
Yeah, you need some good girl talk.
Yeah, so I mean, this is an example of like a very interesting situation where, you know, we're introduced to this guy Thaddeus and we're like, what the hell is this couple? And then, you know, Soraya kind of explains like why she loves him in a way. He has this backstory where his mother died in childbirth, so he's like really terrified of like having a family with his wife because he loves her that much, you know? So you're like given some breadcrumbs here, like
I guess so.
I'm not saying it works specifically for me. I'm just saying that it's there,
Yeah.
and he's not like a one-note character. I feel like a lot of these guys, that's like another thing. Like they all have like two sides, you know. So
It's
here's
true.
an example
You
of
He's
see
not
that-
just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a great guy.
No, he's
he
not.
has a horrible profession.
Yeah.
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 He loves his wife.
Yes. I mean, his profession is he owns a mine.
Yeah.
But he just employs slaves basically,
Yeah.
and that's bad.
Yeah, that's real bad. And he calls them animals.
Yes, he does not care for convicts whatsoever. And so in this girl talk, Soraya reveals that she's pregnant.
Gabs tries to give her the sea bands. I liked.
Oh,
I always
yeah.
like the seasickness.
Yeah, I love that keeps coming back
Touch,
in
yeah.
thread. I couldn't help but think about Hope during that little exchange about pregnancy.
Right. I mean, always.
Yeah.
From now on.
When Gabrielle
anytime.
says, you won't be able to hide it forever, that felt like that
yeah.
was coming from her own experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of that time.
Of that 20
she
minutes.
had 2 seconds to
She was like, I had about 5 minutes where I could hide it.
I'm
and then
not sure.
I had to change into this big sack.
I'm not sure maybe that I agree.
No, but I think I see that. Like, it's hard whenever there's a woman who, you know, reveals that she's pregnant near Gabrielle from now on, that you're like, oh my God, you don't think about, like, that's the whole point of this whole thing.
Do you know, I think it would be different if Gabrielle hadn't been a mother, her giving this advice about, how to deal with pregnancy. I think it just has a shade of something now.
The ship has been having some strange, like, jolts and thuds happening near it. People don't know what it is.
Dun, dun, dun.
But what is it?
Well, I don't know.
what is
I don't know why they're like weirded out. There's this gigantic like volcano like blowing black smoke.
It's Mount Etna.
Yes, and it's erupted.
Is that the one that got Pompeii? Is that
No,
No,
that's
that's
Vesuvius.
Vesuvius.
Mount Etna did go off in these ancient times. It's in Sicily.
Yeah, so
Cool.
that's another thing.
Yeah.
So that's where they are.
We're in Sicily.
They're off the
They're in
coast.
Sicily.
They can see it, so they're pretty close to Sicily.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
east coast.
We figured out where Xena and friends are. That's a Sicilian palm reader.
Yeah, and it did in the I think it's written about in the Aeneid.
Oh.
Our buddy Virgil.
Yes, he was our buddy.
And in like Roman Empire times, it destroyed a city around it where it erupted. And the Wikipedia told me that they then didn't have to pay taxes for 10 years.
Whoa.
To rebuild.
Very nice.
To Rome, yes. Mount Etna facts.
Very generous of Rome. Grumble, grumble.
So yeah,
One sentence on Wikipedia.
But yeah, it's funny how blasé like all the sailors are about Etna erupting. You'd think they'd be very attuned to these natural.
I mean, Xena is very immediately like, wait a second. She can literally smell that there's a problem happening in this episode, and she tries to convince the captain to turn the boat around, go back to port. He's like, not
don't make
having
me
it.
turn this boat around.
He's not having it. But then what I like about it is that he starts very much understanding the situation and very, very, very much believing it.
Yeah.
And is very on board.
He's a reasonable guy. He is literally on board.
Yes.
But yes, I think that's why they bonk him over the head, because he gets it. He seems like a good ally.
Wait,
for
they
Xena.
actually hit him? I didn't realize that.
No, I just mean the writers
bonk
bonk him over the head.
Okay, I was like...
Because he was a little almost too helpful,
Wow.
you know? You want to knock that guy off. He's too capable, too helpful, too reasonable.
They check the sea level. It is smaller
Yeah.
than it should
like
be.
2 fathoms
Yeah, whatever.
less than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and the sea is weird.
The sea's
and
doing a thing.
Yeah, the
the
level's
sea all
dropping.
moved somewhere else, but it's about to come back.
Yes.
That's how it works.
So I really like that the captain at that point starts praying to Hera.
I didn't register
Yeah,
that.
So I always love when there's like a little bit of like ancient Greek, daily life put into this.
Later we have Petrides praying to Poseidon, which makes more sense than Hera, doesn't it? Or does Hera protect sailors? I don't know.
I have no idea. Hera's featured a lot on Hercules. I think they're like, the audience here knows these guys. We'll get to Poseidon like later when he mentions it. But yeah, so this was like the first instance of prayer, which I thought was really cool.
I also like the detail that Autolycus is disappointed when they turn back.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of like, hooray! And he's like, yeah. He really wanted to get to those mines.
So Xena starts like freaking out because they cannot turn back. They have to like write it out. So she instructs Gabrielle and Sarai to go into the hold, which I thought was like, put the women in the room.
Xena.
Yeah, and Gabrielle's like, I can help. Like, what the fuck?
She wants to protect Gabs.
Of course.
It's a good instinct.
And we have our tsunami.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you guys think of these effects?
Yay and nay.
Yay
To some of it. I mean, you cannot not have the visualization of a fucking wave hitting this little boat.
Yeah.
Like, so there was a big computer generated wave. What I really loved about it is all the second unit stuff, which is like sailors getting smoshed with a bunch of water.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that was legit.
Yeah.
They were really being swept
And
around.
that's what really sold it for me.
Yeah.
So, good job.
I like their little upside down boat.
Yeah,
floating around.
I love the models.
You have to have that.
And I thought them destroying their little model,
Yeah.
that was cute. Like, I liked seeing that wave crash over it and it going
Yeah, so the ship gets kind of
better than Perfect Storm.
Oh!
You guys remember Perfect Storm?
Yeah.
That movie
That
sucked.
movie was disappointing.
It was so disappointing. It had such great visuals in its marketing campaign. Like, I literally put that poster of the giant wave with the boat. Like, I put that on my wall. I thought it was...
Why?
I think it gave me, like, Titanic vibes.
Okay. Who directed that?
Wolfgang Peterson.
Is he the one who directed Troy?
Yes.
Yes, my favorite movie on a boat. Oh, I was obsessed with the trailer for Troy, guys, when they show the one ship and it pulls out and it's 1,000 ships.
Oh my god, so many ships.
And the music. Seriously, everybody, go look at the trailer for Troy. Okay, back to our ship here. It is upside down in the water and it is sinking. So we go into the boat and what's going on?
Xena wakes up first.
Yes, and her first instinct, Gabrielle, where is she?
Yeah, literally the first thing. I also really loved the way Lucy plays these first few moments where she's not only panicked, but a little, I think, disoriented.
Yeah.
And you rarely see that from Xena, this just kind of like wooziness in her speech. Yeah, that really scared me watching it the first time. I was like, oh my god, what happened?
Yeah.
They're in a situation.
Yep. So she is scrambling around trying to find Gabrielle, and instead she finds Macon, and she, the like visual like disappointment on her face,
expectations, reality.
Yes, it's so funny.
I was really into the lighting, like actually throughout this whole section, but from the very moment that Xena wakes up, you will always have this really pretty lighting on her face. It's just this like really like white light, and it's rippling because of the water.
Yeah.
So nice.
And I noticed that often she's more brightly lit than everyone around her. And I feel like that's, she's the leader. She's in charge. So
Right.
It wants to like pull your gaze, which is funny because like you're always looking at her face anyway, even when it's not the most bright thing in the shot. But
I mean, it's true.
Nice touch.
Nice touch. Donald Duncan, the cinematographer.
Props to him.
Yeah. But you just reminded me of, it was the Xena Scrolls, right? Where she had a problem because she wasn't, like, featured in the close-ups.
Right.
So, like, everyone's like, give all the light to Lucy.
Donald Duncan's quote, which Vera mentioned, is really funny, where he looks at the set and realizes that the water has already put out all the sources of light that the scene could have, and he's just like, well, how am I going to light this? I like a solution, which is just, there seems to be light coming out of the water. You don't really question it. You're just like, water is a source of light.
Yeah, I mean, none of us, sat around being like, well, where is this light coming from?
Why isn't it pitch dark?
Yeah, exactly.
That would have saved them a lot of money if you just had like drip, drip, drip sound effects, and the actors would be like, oh no!
Well, but then we wouldn't have been able to see what the water's greatest job is in this episode, which is to make everyone all wet.
Sexy wet.
Yes.
Which we should thank them for their ability to put up with this nonsense.
Right.
Because it's so uncomfortable.
Number one memory is always being cold from the water.
But they look
wet.
so great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what? I mean, I'm sure it's uncomfortable and miserable, and that works. You feel that watching them.
In your performance.
It helps. It's helpful. Yeah.
So the next person that Xena finds is Autolycus, and she's like, get out of the chains, and
they just
immediately they drop, and I love Macon. He's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, that was really great.
Well, that was a good moment because, Macon can't do that. He's an actual convict. It kind of showed you, like, differences in, like, privilege. It's like, why would you be down here if you don't have to be?
Exactly, yeah. The next thing is that we hear Gabrielle crying for help.
I hate this trick. It's a dirty trick. They use Renee's voice.
Yep.
And it's
Soraya.
Yes.
It's annoying.
I didn't actually register that it was Renee's voice.
Yeah. Because they get in the room and the lady's like, help, in a totally different voice.
Yeah, and then Xena again is like 1,000% disappointed.
And doesn't even bother to like hide it.
So like, this is what's happening, right? We are in Xena's subjectivity, and that is totally just what she wants to hear.
Wants to hear it.
Yeah, and then you hear the lady's real voice. But yeah, it's definitely just a dirty trick, and I didn't like it.
So Soraya is screaming for help because Thaddeus is caught under like a big old crate and can't get out.
His leg is hurt.
His leg is busted. So she needs them to get him out of there.
Now another cry. This time it's from Petrides.
And he screams, no, she's dead.
He keeps saying that.
Get her off me.
It's
she's
very
dead.
good. In counterpoint to the previous.
Right. So now we, the audience, are sitting around being like, well, gosh, they got all the known ladies are here. The only one left who we haven't discovered is Gabrielle, and this guy's screaming that she's dead. What has happened?
Oh, no.
So this is like the most glorious dramatic moment.
I love it.
That, oh my God, I'm so disappointed with the resolution.
Oh.
Because
you wanted her to be dead?
No, I don't want her to be dead. However, yeah, this is the perfect opportunity to give me another,
comfort.
Exactly.
Good
like
times.
Doctor in the House, another one against the army.
Complicated things really interestingly.
Yes,
Gabs had this like abs wound.
Oh, no.
And like, would she be able to swim in that geyser with her abs wound?
Yeah, we'll never know because Chris backed off of that idea. Anyway, Xena gets over there, and Petrides is quite petrified.
Yeah, I like this detail that he doesn't like being touched by a hand that he thinks is dead.
Yes, I loved how freaked out he was and just literally was like, get her off me. Like, I thought that was such a great moment.
Panicking.
Very panicked. And I also really loved that they had to dig quite a while to get to Gabrielle.
Everybody's really
and she was
urgent.
really like upside down smoshed. And it was like really good.
In my notes, I say she is authentically flopped.
Legit.
It's scary good.
There's like straw kind of like scattered in her hair and around her. She's like just on her side in this weird angle.
Yeah.
She looks pretty dead.
Yeah, and so they flip her over, and there's like all this blood on her abs, and Autolycus starts like going at it, like being like, I can't find the wound, and it's because it's not her fucking wound.
It's
Because
not.
it's not even her blood.
No.
It's the captain's blood, who's like right next to her.
Which is weird because the blood's on his head.
I know.
And then on her abs.
What happened?
But also, like, I was so, like, extra disappointed because I thought that everybody, like, I thought he was upstairs, you know, or, like, I thought he was with the crew that jumped. So I was like, I didn't even register that he was in this episode.
I guess he ran for the hold.
I guess so, yeah. So, yes, he has a massive head wound. He's not dead. He just has an incredible head wound.
He's down for the count for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, he's not in it anymore, basically.
I really like how they chose to shoot this sequence. You never really get like a, heart-tugging close-up on just Xena reacting. She's just there next to Autolycus, kind of like upset.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I like that. I can't
gotta
even
look at her
describe
face.
exactly why. I like that even though it's totally like playing a trick on you, it's not like trying to manipulate your heart. It's making you look.
Yeah.
You're like looking at Xena being like, what's going through her mind? What is it? What is it?
In my notes, I just have, boo, Chris Manna.
She wrote this great episode.
She did. I love it.
This is
I
a
love
good
this episode.
There's
yeah.
no real heterosexual agenda. I mean,
It's
maybe
not
a
even
tiny
about-
bit.
Well,
with
between Xena and
Autolycus.
Autolycus, yeah, but we'll allow that.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's mainly like she could have had a scratch that Xena had to put a bandage on.
It would have been
Like,
nice.
It's really nothing.
Considering we're about to go into a whole sequence of like doctoring.
Field medicine.
So,
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I really love that when Gabrielle regains consciousness, her first like words are the captain is her. We gotta help him.
Her priorities.
Yeah.
Always.
And there's good. Xena's very relieved. There's some good arm grabbing.
Yeah.
She does that soft voice stuff of being like, yeah, I'm fine. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, and then they do a bunch of field medicine.
Yeah, so they all like work together to free Thaddeus's leg and all that stuff and set it. And then Xena needs to stitch up the captain, or is it also Thaddeus's leg?
Yeah, both. Yeah, they do both. They start with Thad,
Yeah.
and then they move on to the captain. It's interesting how you immediately see the way kind of the teams are breaking down.
Yeah.
You have Soraya helping Xena and Gabs. Autolycus is there too. Meanwhile, the convicts are kind of a separate group. They're not helping at this stage.
And Macon is getting really like agitated, and this is where he pulls its chains trick again. This time on Gabs.
Oh no!
So I love that Xena like remains calm as fuck.
Yeah.
Still stitching, and like calmly explains to him that they cannot leave this boat because they're like underwater sinking. And she's like, look at all the like stuff that's popping out of the wall. There's their ceiling, which was the floor.
Yeah, that was
previously.
such a cool detail. That all those little leaks are from a nail like flying out because of the pressure.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, and so he like is momentarily, distracted to look, and that's when she throws the dagger.
Yeah.
Yes.
And cuts his bonds around his wrists so he can't strangle her no more.
Right.
And I think then Gabs gets the dagger that's thrown, which is a fun detail. And then Xena has a great line where she says, "You do that again and I won't wait for the sea. I'll kill you myself."
Xena reveals her plan now that, she's like trying to come up with how, like, what the fuck they should do. And she's like, well, let's get to the rudder and then we could like move the ship and go to like the current. To the reefs.
The
Like,
captain
mentioned
had
something,
mentioned
that there's some
earlier
reefs.
that they could hitch a ride on these currents and that would take them really quickly away from the activities of Edna.
And Macon is like freaking out because of the air. There's like not enough air. I mean, he's like petrified, guys.
Yeah, he is. But, his petrification manifests as him, throwing down all these plans, these bad plans. Like, he wants to open the door of this other compartment that's full of air, and it's the only thing that's keeping them afloat. And so, of course, he does this. And then they start sinking.
Yep.
Good plan, dude.
Dun, dun. Maybe we should shout out how this is a big homage to the Poseidon.
Well, I was just going to say, because this is where Petrides does his Poseidon prayer.
Oh, you were waiting for that. Okay.
Yes. Well, now it just happens
okay.
right
It just
now.
happened. Yeah, he prays and then gets slapped around by Xena.
Predator's answer? No. I don't know what.
So yeah, I haven't seen the Poseidon Adventure. Who has? Anybody?
I have not. I know it mostly in reference to a funny part on Friends.
What's the part?
The part where Chandler does his impression of Shelley Winters in the Poseidon Adventure. And it's a longer story that's not explainable or interesting for right now.
We'll never know if it's a good impression or not because we haven't seen it. So
it's funny in context.
So yes, this is indeed an homage to the Poseidon Adventures. Now, the Poseidon Adventures is a movie from 1970. I forget what.
Sounds legit. It was
year?
during that craze of disaster
movies.
Yeah.
About a cruise ship that was a tsunami that hits them, and so they get stranded and go on an adventure.
And it's the motley crew, the group of people who have to work together.
Now, when you take that premise and put it in a show that's Xena, why isn't Poseidon featured in this episode?
It's an interesting point. I think prior to this, every boat adventure, he is
especially
a part
some
of
kind
it.
of issue with a boat.
Yeah.
Is
The
Poseidon.
SFX budget on the wave.
I understand that, but they could have at least had some extra glowing light or some thuds with his stupid voice.
I actually really like that they didn't.
He could have popped out of the water in tiny.
I like that this is
These people
more
doing
realistic.
it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I wouldn't question it other than the fact that it is an homage to a movie with his name in it.
Yeah, but I
and,
think it's just because the cruise ship is named that.
I know, but why is the cruise ship named that? Because the guy of the sea.
Yeah.
And here, he's a featured player. What the hell?
Yeah, but
it's a weird omission.
They have to get out of this themselves. You only hear about the gods when people are praying. I think that's, it's kind of nice to have an episode of Xena where people can pray and the gods don't actually show up.
I mean, I agree, and I do think it's budget reasons for sure. But it made me think, why the hell isn't he here?
I'm just realizing that all of those disaster movies from the 70s, Towering Inferno, Poseidon Adventure, I haven't seen any of them. I've only seen Airplane, which is a parody of them all.
Oh, I didn't know Airplane was a parody of that stuff. Oh my god, that's so funny. All right, well, it doesn't diminish our like of this.
And obviously disaster movies have been made since the 70s. We've seen all the ones that Roland Emmerich has made. He's the new dude who does that.
It's weird because to me this was more closely associated with submarine movies. So I was thinking of Das Boot or something because it's the pressure
the
that going
enclosed
down.
Space.
Yeah, and it's we gotta go deeper.
Yeah, I mean to me it felt very almost like a play. Like 12 Angry Men, where you just have this group of people who are thrown together and have to make a decision in this tense situation.
Xena tells Gabrielle to tend to the wounded while she and the men axe the shit out of the
notice that,
house.
Huh? The way the tasks break down.
I thought it was hella hot that she was participating though.
Yeah, of course. She's in charge.
Yeah.
I really liked this bit with the rudder. I just thought this was very clever, the way they figure out how to actually move it, which is Xena throws a harpoon into the shaft.
Right.
And then finally they can get a grip on it and start. And they need everybody. They need all the strong men plus Xena
She's
to
the
help.
strongest man.
But that even Macon, this is the one moment where he sees
everybody
reason.
works together. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it happens so early in the episode. Actually, that everybody works together. After this, they kind of splinter again.
It's true.
It's not what you expect.
So the ship finds the current, goes into the reef, and stops sinking, basically. But it's that thing, like, from the movies where the car is at the edge of the cliff, and it's like, any false move, and it'll topple over.
Yeah, like a little seesaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I like these shots of, like, boat with its eyeball painted on it so that it looks like a little creature, and it's moving. I mean, it's dopey. You can tell it's a model, but honestly, I prefer it to CGI.
And also,
Yeah,
I like how
you could touch that shit.
Yeah.
in the shots of the boat going along, you actually see the like geysers and stuff that come into play
Yes,
later,
for sure.
so that you know what.
And
they're
there was a
talking
huge.
about.
Did you notice all the light source down there?
Yeah, that's true. So that's why the boat's
There you
lit,
go,
because they can't be that far from the surface.
When it was like from beneath you. It's like from the bottom of the sea.
There
it's,
are
like, lit
LED
up.
lights at the bottom. Well, I have thought we were about to go into like Married with Fish Sticks.
Oh,
we were gonna find
I'm
a little
sure that
underwater
land is like right
bubble.
nearby.
Yeah, and Illusion just to the
Oh
left.
yeah, exactly. All their underwater adventures. So after they have this moment of like rest, we have a nice scene between Xena and Gabrielle. They're sort of like tending to the captain here. Mm-hmm. Xena says that the captain is in shock.
Gabrielle, very angry, replies, like we all are. You get these quiet little shots of her looking around at everyone, which is nice. And then she's just like, she sounds mad, which I like. I like that in her voice, because they are in this really seemingly, this is it situation.
Oh no.
But then she just puts her hand on top of Xena's, on top of the captain.
Yeah. It was a good little moment.
It was just nice.
And their hands are so wet. They're like beaded with pretty water.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's just nice. It's just like, yeah.
And I love that she just asks in this, like the anger leaves her voice, and there's just, it's not quite patented soft voice, but it's this kind of slightly hollow voice after all the anger goes away, where she just says, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
And also everyone's makeup is on point.
Oh my god, yeah. What is this waterproof makeup? It's so good.
We haven't yet reached the moment where Xena's bangs are brushed back.
Yes.
Right now they're just like wet and still bangs,
Yeah.
but I love when they go back.
I also really love how Gabrielle's hair with her braids looks once it's wet.
I love her. Yeah, I love it. So Xena's kind of like, well, they're stuck down here until like they figure out some more stuff or run out of air. That's like an
And this
issue.
is becoming a more pressing thing.
Yes.
They've lost a lot of air from opening that air pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Macon once again starts freaking out, and he's like, well, let's get rid of people so there could be more air for me.
So he just goes at Thaddeus, which totally makes sense because this guy owns him.
Right.
Of course you want to take
And he's
him
injured.
out. And he's injured.
Yes.
And he's a dick.
Yeah.
But Soraya will not have it.
No.
I love that she just like goes at him with this like I think wooden plank. It's just like rah, rah, rah. Macon's like the bitch has bite after all.
I also love how he's like, his scene, he's like, bunch of losers.
Macon has all these funny lines. He's sort of like, Nelson from The Simpsons. He's such a just like grade school bully a lot of the time.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So here Autolycus starts feeling guilty.
Oh yeah, I really like this moment for Autolycus where they're trying to talk Macon down. He's like, oh, this guy thinks we're animals. I can kill him. It's fine. That's how he treats me. So why can't I do that? And Autolycus says, if you kill him, that makes it true. I thought that was just a very
wise.
It's the kind of thing Xena would say.
Yeah.
So
She's rubbing off on him.
maybe.
In the bedroom. No. Katie.
But it's also interesting because in the next episode, Autolycus is going to be tempted to kill someone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's a nice, again, in our Autolycus two-parter, to have this moment in the first one.
And I like how they all stand behind him in that little line, like supporting the no
Right.
killing
Yeah.
decision. Gabrielle's just like, yeah.
Killing's bad. I've done it a lot now.
So Autolycus tries to drink, away his guilt, but the wineskin is empty. Or as he says, it's just hot air.
I haven't seen most of Autolycus's material on Hercules, but why does he think he's such a bad guy? What exactly has he done that's so bad?
I don't know, he
Just
steals
steal
stuff.
stuff from
Yeah.
people. All the times we see him do that on Xena, it's so like justified. You're like, yay, he stole a thing. Good.
I'm
Here
sure
he
on Hercules
prefaces
too.
in general, but here he's prefacing it with the fact that he like got them into the
Yes,
situation.
exactly.
That's true.
He
It
says
literally
like, I'm a
is
guy
his-
who can let like a friend just walk straight into trouble.
Yeah.
Or something. So like,
He's-
this is motivated by like him having gotten Gabrielle and Xena.
Yeah.
He feels
into this.
responsible.
Because if
Yeah.
it wasn't for his scheme to get some diamonds,
Right,
like
they
she
wouldn't be
wouldn't
on this ship.
Yeah, because they didn't know. What he
Yeah,
was
and
doing.
I guess he really thinks they're going to die, so that's rough
Yeah.
to feel that responsibility.
And I like how both episodes talk about the quest.
Yes.
All right.
Good point. It
Yes.
feels like something they must have said in the writer's room. Like, why shouldn't Autolycus mention the quest?
Well, it's like such a big deal. Like Xena
Yeah.
was dead. She was
Yeah.
in his body.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's
a big
probably the
thing.
weirdest thing that's ever happened to Autolycus.
It's totally true. So you'd think he'd bring it up every second he gets. In fact, you could think back to like King of Assassins and go, oh, why did it come up there?
Right. Based on this empty wineskin, Xena gets an idea, and she's like, oh, maybe we could fill up the wineskins with air from, like, the volcanic geysers that are pumping.
She's such a genius in this episode.
Yeah.
I know. More.
So
This
many
is
good
very
ideas.
MacGyver-y.
Yeah.
I at first was like, oh, that wouldn't work because they're like blowing into these sacks.
Right.
Like, isn't that carbon dioxide? You can't breathe that. But I was reading some stuff, and apparently you can like exhale enough oxygen that like it would keep them alive.
It'd be fine for the couple
a little
minutes
while.
or whatever that
Yeah.
they needed.
So this is what you decided to question? Like,
The
your-
science?
So
the
weird.
science of
Well,
this?
I was just like, can't you fill the water skin by just like you're in a thing full of air? Like,
Or, like,
just
wave it
kinda
around? No.
But yeah, many commenters pointed out, I think on Whoosh and elsewhere, that they would have all died from the bends, even.
Yeah, I mean,
Even if
Obviously. Jeez Louise.
because what I mean, obviously, yeah. If they hitched a ride at the center of the geyser, they would have scalded to death and like shot up so fast they'd like exploded. I guess. But like, yeah, even if you're like on the outer part,
Guys, I'm positive
Maybe Poseidon
that
helped.
I'm just positive that Chris Mannheim and co were not sitting around going like, what's the
what
scientific?
about the bends?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a clever solution.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the episode, you're like, "Oh wow, like that's neat," and you know it's going to be a really cool visual. So
Yeah.
you do give it a pass.
I didn't question it at all. Just because I was like, this is hilarious. I mean, both these episodes have hilarious, like, Xena-esque ancient scuba diving. So it's like,
Another thing that connects.
yeah,
them.
it's just really funny. All right.
When
Yeah.
Macon hears the plan,
Yes.
he says, "I think I speak for everyone when I say."
he's 10.
He is 10, yeah.
Yeah, Macon wants to swim for it. That's like, he's at that point.
Which you could still do.
And then he wants to vote on, like, the plan.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's not, like,
I'm
into
telling you, I think
Xena's-
he just hates that Xena's
Yeah.
in charge. He just wants to be in charge. He doesn't like...
Well, like, asking for a vote, that's more, like, democratic, I
yeah,
guess.
but Xena's not into democracy. Xena's a tyrant. What Xena says goes.
So then at that moment, Petrody suddenly, like, whips out a crossbow and, like, tries to shoot Macon.
Because, like, he's just been stewing in
yeah,
resentment this whole
exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Where'd it get that crossbow from?
I don't know. But this is, like, Katie showed me the trailer for this episode, and this is the thing that, you know, the studio decided to do that's like, oh my god, the drama on this ship
Well,
in this next episode of Xena. Which they cut Xena doing the javelin with him doing the crossbow to make it seem like, oh
There'd
my
be
god, there's going to be a
fights.
fight
Yeah.
on this episode.
Listen, I wanted to find it because I was convinced it was going to be like those ones that like made you think someone was dead, and it would just be like that part with Petrodes being
Yeah.
like, she's dead.
Right.
Like I was convinced.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in there at all.
Disappointed twice.
No, because I
Wow.
remember so many trailers like
Oh,
that.
that was, like, the thing.
And I would obsess about them for a week and
Mm-hmm.
then get to the episode and be like, oh.
Yeah.
Because of course they're not going to do
Yeah,
anything to your
exactly.
bleeds.
Because it's not the season finale yet, or sweeps.
Anyway,
So Petrides fires from this crossbow. It hits like some cargo that falls, and it like changes the weight of the ship.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're sinking again.
It looked like a bowling ball dropped. Like they had a bowling ball
they
in
did.
the cargo.
Yeah.
Why?
Thaddeus is into bowling. He was taking it to the mines with him just because. So yeah, then they like some rocks force their way through.
It's the reefs.
Oh,
like,
the
they,
right.
Like,
the
fall
reefs go
in, yeah.
right through the ship, so they're like in that set with them, and also some warm water, which is how they know they found the geyser.
All right. Petrides needs a pep talk, and this is Katie. You mentioned like he reveals his big backstory. He's the only. Well, no, I guess Thaddeus too.
Right, Thaddeus.
Those two
We hear it through Soraya. Yeah,
Those two get backstories,
Yeah.
and the rest like don't.
yeah. It's
Like,
interesting how
Makeup
that
doesn't-
works. Yeah,
okay.
we don't. We get Macon, but we
Soraya
don't
doesn't.
know. Yeah, Soraya is such a big question mark.
How did
Obviously,
you get
we
to
don't
know
even
that?
know the captain's name.
Yeah, Captain. Exactly. So, he basically like accidentally caused his brother to drown one time.
it's very specifically similar to the situation of like waves and stuff, just like perfectly calibrated.
Oh,
Yeah,
having an
to
issue
now.
here, yeah. And so it's revealed that he's never learned how to swim, which now that is a problem.
Yeah,
right.
that's
So
a
that's
problem.
like
That's pretty scary.
very
in this
legit for
situation.
him being scared in this situation and like hiding it.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing.
I like Xena's response to him, which is she reminds him and us that the dead can hear thoughts. So his brother Damon wouldn't like that he's being used as this excuse for why Petrides now must die. I thought, she kind of does tough love with him.
Yeah.
She's like, don't dishonor his memory by blaming him for your fear. I was
Right.
like, whoa, girl.
So meanwhile, Thad is. I thought this was a good moment, but it turns out it wasn't. He's giving Gabrielle his wineskin of air, and he's like, "You take this extra one and get Soraya out of here." And he's like sacrificing himself because he's like wounded, and they'll never move, him and save him. And then he's like, "Here, in case you're like worried about it, here, have this like priceless necklace." And Soraya catches this, and she's like, "Look at you! You're trying to buy off more people."
That's a good Soraya impression in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the takeaway for her. Is it like, why isn't trying to sacrifice? I mean, she obviously cares about that too.
Yeah,
but,
well, she
like,
doesn't like to be like coddled, I guess. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't. He's making a decision for her, right? And she instead wants to,
make the decisions for him.
and herself, obviously. Yeah. Here's where I get a little bit of like a flashback to Lost with Sun and Jin, where spoilers for Lost, guys. So those two had a kid. And the kid was like on land.
Oh, man.
And they found themselves in a submarine and it was
Yeah.
sinking. And instead of like having one parent save themselves and raise their child, they decided to romantically die
Romantically
together.
die.
And this is where I was like, Soraya, girl, like I know Xena's gonna get you all out, but at this moment he's doing like a really nice, noble thing of like, saving you and your child. He doesn't know.
He doesn't
I think
know.
she doesn't like the money part
Right.
Yeah.
the most.
Yeah.
But I think she says to him, like, once she does reveal her pregnancy, she says, this child needs both parents. Like, that does seem really important to
yes,
her. Yeah.
right. But like,
She's not saying we should both die. She's saying, I need us both to try to survive.
right. So at the end of the day, yes, they all get out and it's fine. But, like, please.
But, that's an argument that, of course, is going to work on that because he seems to have been really traumatized by growing up without a mother. So
Right.
the idea of losing one parent, that's bothersome to him.
Gabrielle kind of just like lets this happen, doesn't meddle. I like it.
Well, I really love, she's like Thad is even like, please, tell her she's being an idiot. And Gabs is like, she's on a roll. She's like, step back and let it happen. Meanwhile, Xena and I don't even know what she and Autolycus are doing, but like they're like diving. Oh no, they're trying to like break a hole in the side of the ship.
Yeah, this is her. She dives for the specific reason that her bangs are swooped up.
Oh,
so you can see
that's
her forehead.
why.
Yeah. I mean, no, but like
She's
but
like
yeah.
she just keeps like doing these like little dives and coming up with like a block of wood and then like going back down and like I got more wood.
Yeah. Well, she's like, we gotta go now.
Yeah.
So like they're getting ready. So they're ready for their dive, and the instructions are we gotta take the injured people first.
Women and children first. We haven't mentioned Titanic in relation to this.
Go for it. I mean, you did with The Perfect Storm.
Oh, that's true.
It's definitely out now.
Yeah, I mean, Titanic, this is like March, April. I think they shot it in February, so Titanic would have been out since December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think this was in part a reaction to the like omnipresence of Titanic at this point in time.
For sure. Everybody goes into the water now. Petrides goes. Macon, who's like last, freaked out, and it's just him and Xena.
I loved how freaked out.
I mean, this is where it was like revealed that this
Wait.
What? Did I
It's really
miss?
cute when
when
Gabrielle
Gabs
leaves.
leaves.
Oh, yes.
Excuse
All right,
you.
they kiss goodbye, and then they go.
Basically.
Yes.
They like do a little hand squeeze, and she's like, "Hey, Gabrielle, see your topside, huh?" And then Gabrielle goes off, and Xena looks a little worried. But she's like,
Well, yeah, it's always scary when they're like in separate groups, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice example of trust. You know, she's trusting Gabrielle.
Reluctantly
to, like,
trusting
get
Gabrielle.
to the service, and Gabrielle is with Petrides, who can't swim.
Yeah, he can't
right,
swim,
she's helping him.
So this is scary. Yeah, they have an unconscious man, Gabs,
and a kid
Petrides.
who can't swim.
Yeah, I'd be worried too.
All right. Well, we stay with Xena and Macon, and as they go, he, of course, loses his skin.
No, wait, let's go back one more time to like Macon goes, he's scared, he goes. I thought the moment when Xena alone holds her breath and dives under, she looked scared to me in a way that I again did not quite expect and really like ratcheted up the scariness.
Yeah, this
of
is not really
sequence.
her forte. Like, although she's
Yeah.
super great with boat science, like doing weird underwater stuff.
Yeah, I think she is, I mean, obviously worried for everybody's lives, but also her own. Right there at the end, I think you see it on her face, just being like, oh my God, I'm diving down here. And I
this is
don't know
gonna
what's
work or it's
happen.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants to be last, I think, so that she can have that moment, alone.
Well,
that no
also
one
like
can see.
she's like the captain of the ship now.
Yeah, it's
you know,
true.
it's like that thing.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, Macon continues to be a problem, and he loses his like little air skin, and basically like Xena sees this happen and decides to go back and help him, and a struggle ensues. This is our underwater fight.
Yeah,
because he
little
wants
struggle.
her skin.
He wants her skin.
He wants her skin.
Yeah.
I thought this looked good, this fight. I mean, I think they're actually
Yeah,
underwater
At
fighting.
what point in the filming, this is not related to this, did they all almost get hit by all the water?
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I mean, I don't know when.
They weren't actually shooting. Like
No.
it was
Yeah.
on like the sound stage they weren't working on. So this tank broke and just like swept a crew guy away, and then they had to evacuate like their next door set.
And Lucy had leg day that day. She had weights in her legs.
So she had to run with her
Yes.
legs
Like weights.
weighted down. Oh my god! I want footage of that behind the scenes. Lucy limping away from a tidal wave.
It was a good
yeah.
workout.
That's why the disclaimer at the end, I forget exactly what it says, but it's a reference.
Strike the set.
Yeah.
And you meaning to strike the set. Yeah.
To the fact that they had a lot of damage that day.
Anyway, so you don't see the result of this struggle.
Yes.
You next see Gabrielle.
Right, Gabrielle and her team wash up on shore.
Yeah.
And it's our favorite beautiful beach.
Beautiful.
Just incredible.
This beautiful orange light on her face, which is, the first time we've had, like, light
So
in a
I
while.
like this stuff as a parallel to when Xena was trying to find Gabrielle and finds every other person first. You have Gabrielle on the beach going to every other person first
nice.
with
That's
no Xena.
great. That
Yeah.
is some great
Right.
symmetry.
Good
yeah.
job, Chris. Thank you.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about the sand that's on Gabrielle's cheek and
Aw.
abs.
Yeah.
Good.
It's very sweet.
It's not rough or coarse.
No, it's soft.
Guys, my note is Autolycus doesn't want riches. What does that mean?
Oh,
The diamond back to that.
yeah, he finds it,
Wait.
washed ashore, the diamond necklace that Thaddeus was trying to use to bribe Gabs, and he kind of like picks it up and looks at it, and it's this moment where you're like, oh no, but not really. You're like, he's not gonna like just steal this necklace from these guys breathless on the beach. So he gives it back to them, and
Oh my god, yeah, and Thad is like, oh, guys, I'm gonna hire workers in my mind now.
It doesn't really seem to have come from anywhere.
He went through a scary thing, and now he's a good person.
I'm glad that
that's how
he's a good person.
I guess so.
But it didn't really seem motivated. But it's good for him.
I guess, Autolycus helped save him, and he thinks Autolycus is a convict.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it changed his opinion of convicts.
Okay.
And hence, now he wants to unionize his workforce.
Yeah, apparently.
Provide them with health insurance.
Yep. He's a good boss now.
Sure. I mean, it's great because, Soraya obviously always saw this in him,
Yeah.
so we're glad.
I mean, that's the human credential.
Yeah.
Like, she's supposed to be his human credential.
She knew he could be a good person, and finally he is one. We let it go, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
So finally, Xena and Macon wash up on shore. And
First, just Macon.
Oh.
I think Xena's there, but Gabs hasn't noticed her yet. But yeah, I love that once again you have Macon being like the big disappointment to everybody.
Yeah.
Gabs running up and being like, oh, you're not Xena, even though he obviously is
oh my
not.
god, he's obviously not. All right, yeah. So finally, Xena like comes out of the water, and she like I don't know. I thought it was funny. She like spits out a little bit of the water.
I mean, to me, she seemed very like out of breath, like having trouble standing upright.
There was a good comment, probably on Whoosh, that like someone in the commentary for the episode liked how even though she was so like messed up from this journey, like still tries to like walk mean. They said like she's still trying to like
do her Xena
get
walk.
like but
She's
she's
not
obviously
crawl.
but she's also like
Yeah.
like
Nice.
fucking it's good.
She went through something.
Yeah, and I love when Gabrielle sees her because she has a really good Xena yell that, like, the sound of it is very good. It, like, comes from the back of her throat. Like, just a good, like, low register, Xena! Like, not like that, but, like, it's just really good. You know, you can, it's just good. It's just good. It's just like, happy and good.
She explains that she had to go back for something, which means Macon.
Yes.
She had to save Macon. And he's just so confused by why she would do that for him because he knows he sucks.
I mean, yeah. So, yeah, I loved he's like, I'm a killer. What'd you come back for? What did you expect? And her line of, from you, nothing. From me, nothing less.
Awesome
Where
line.
I'm like, oh my God, tears. Like, that's...
I love how Lucy delivers this, which is like, I mean, again, she's like really out of breath. So, like, she, like, has to force these words out, and she forces it, like, with a lot of, like, power. And then, like, on me, when she says, from me, her voice breaks.
Yeah.
So it's just very, so much
That's what I mean,
feeling
tears.
there. Yeah.
Very emotional, very important.
I mean, it's like, it's like a random episode, but, like, again, this line that she just said is, like, the theme of the show.
Yeah.
The entire show. Like, this is her redemption arc.
And I think it reminds you that Xena, like, had trouble this episode, like, more than she was letting on. I think this was a hard one for her. Like, she was in charge, and she didn't really, I think, have a lot of faith that this was going to work. And, yeah, I feel like you feel all that right here at the end with this line.
Right. But there was never, like, a question of, you know, she's not going to, like, murder people for air or, like, leave anybody, you know,
not.
randomly.
Yeah. But I feel like she's projecting throughout this episode her best self.
Yes.
Because she knows that's what people need to see.
Right.
And, like,
And that's
all
what
her
she's-
fear is, like, bottled up. She does this thing after she delivers the line where she wipes her mouth.
Ooh.
And it's like her hand's shaky.
Nice.
But it's also like very like defiant. Like, I'm not upset, you know. And yeah, that to me was so Xena.
Nice.
So then Macon kind of just like walks away, and we have this wide shot of him like stalking off on this beautiful beach. And Gabrielle turns to Xena and says, "He doesn't get it, does he?" And I thought that was nice that you have this character who's bad, like throughout, like a terrible dude. he doesn't learn by the end.
No.
Like,
Right.
it's this... I think, you know, you already had Thaddeus, who was ridiculous.
Right.
I'm
He
learned.
I'm glad that Macon doesn't have a similar arc. Like, for him, he just continues going off being Macon. Like,
Well, if we had a spin-off called Megan, who knows?
but here's a situation, like, in Dirty Six, I didn't want to see any of those Jokers again, even though
Yeah.
they kept telling us we might. Here, Macon, I think because they aren't trying to force it down our
Yes.
throats, like, I would have. I liked that
Right.
he kind of goes off into the sunset, still that same dude, and the kind of the tragedy of that.
I don't know, guys. I like to, I want to believe, as Mulder does. And I say, who knows? He's just maybe slow about it. Like, maybe he'll
This
be
meant
ruminating on this for, like, a week. And then finally, like, he'll be in a situation and he'll see, oh, I can do the right thing here. And, like,
And he knows he's the worst, he says.
Yeah.
Like, why would anyone save him?
Exactly. I think in the spin-off, he would become a hero.
Oh my God! Can we talk about Gabrielle and Xena being all wet with their arms around each other yet, or
No,
what? We're talking about
more
making some more.
Let's talk about the giant killer.
Hello.
Yes, they are walking off together on this beach, and Gabrielle goes, "So what'd you think of the palm reader now?" And Xena replies, "Like you said, just another day."
Each day.
And then Gabrielle, like, pats her butt.
Yep, but she
It's
passed
the-
the scabbard, but it's
her
like
scabbard.
on her butt,
Top butt.
top butt.
Yeah.
Scabbard.
It's for sure a thing
It's
that
fine.
happens.
It's beautiful, the whole walking off.
Yeah, it's such a great shot. It was like the most beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Good episode.
Good episode.
Love
yeah.
it. Love it.
I really like that it's an Autolycus episode that isn't about Autolycus.
Yeah, he's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is how I think I prefer it. I
Part
don't
of the
know.
team.
Yeah, exactly.
One
He's just
of the
there.
gang.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember talking about this back for his first episode for Royal Couple of Thieves, that it becomes, he becomes like the male lead, there. Like, Gabrielle's just forced
Yeah.
out. So it's nice that they've rejiggered things now where he can appear and it doesn't,
Right.
like, supplant her. Like, this is still a show about two women, and he's also there.
So they're doing like the jockster
But I mean,
role for
yeah,
him here.
except it's a very different. Like,
Right.
he's no joxer.
I know, but I mean, like, you're never threatened by jocks
Yeah.
becoming the male lead of an
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, and I don't think you're really threatened by Autolycus, even though they do play up some of the
Right.
sexual tension.
Well, also, like, I mean, you're talking about an episode where they were introducing Autolycus to this show back in
Yeah.
season 1, where there were boyfriends of the week every
That's
every
true.
week. So,
That's true.
Yeah. Thankfully, we've moved beyond that.
Or have we?
And we can move to the next episode, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to 320, Vanishing Act, written by Terrence Winter. Emmy Award winner.
I think this is his last Xena episode.
What a way to go.
They did not ask him back after this one.
They were all, of one particular caliber, and directed by Andrew Merrifield.
He did Giant Killer, Vera.
And this is why I love this episode so much.
You can hear about Terrence Winter talk about his time on Xena in the documentary Showrunners. It's a very funny moment. He's sitting on the set of Boardwalk Empire going, I should not have been writing for that show. It's good.
At least
It's good.
he knows. At least he knows.
He makes fun of himself.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
show, himself.
Yeah.
I'm good.
That's
all
the
right.
correct attitude to
Yeah.
have. Some people just aren't suited to doing this.
If only Boardwalk Empire had some shenanigans like Xena.
Well, is her, gangster mole accent the
Inspiration
attempt to-
for Boardwalk.
She's pretty...
That's where he got the idea for Boardwalk, is from her accent.
Yeah.
It was her idea, actually, to do that
course.
accent.
Okay, fine.
Why would anyone think otherwise?
Well, I thought that was funny. This funny story about how she based it on a New York realtor.
But is
she
that a
was
fact?
dealing with.
I think that was like
You think that was a joke?
That was I think a conjecture.
I think that's very funny. I want it to be true. I guess to me it sounds more like Rizzo, right? Isn't that the character she played in Grease?
That sounds nothing like Rizzo.
I don't know anything about Grease.
That's
you
really
guys.
off base. I'm gonna actually be absolutely not.
well, we're jumping the gun big time.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna circle back to her Xena's Ezra character a little bit later. Let's begin by kind of discussing the overall plot of this episode, which is that there's a statue of Pax.
Pax, the personification of peace.
Okay.
Between the two villages.
Yes, there was some kind of like massive problem between these villages, and they like came together and brokered a peace.
I wish they'd done the beauty contest like that. Those other two villages,
right? Yeah.
Instead, they built this dumbass statue.
Yeah, it's like a big statue made out of gold.
Made out of gold,
of like this
solid gold.
Yeah.
Why do they have so much gold? These two villages. I guess, like you said, they're a wealthy seaside town. This guy has whatever his name is, Adar, has like great beachfront property.
Right, man. His loft, I would live there, yeah. This is in a nebulous Mediterranean sea town, close to Mykonos somehow. Lots of intense outfits dancing around, celebrating peace.
Yeah, I love that dancing moment.
Gabrielle at the beginning.
Gabrielle.
It's so cute.
She's so, like, buying into it, but only in the most sarcastic of ways. She's just like, everybody, yeah. Woo, Pax. Pax is my favorite of the Jolie Pits. Everybody knows Pax is the bomb. Maddox second. Shiloh third.
What?
So Pax is a statue, as mentioned, and it is one day stolen from this seaside town.
At first we think it's Autolycus, but it's not.
Right, because he was discovered, like, right there. Yes. It is a guy named Tarsus, and he steals it and takes it to his island of Mykonos, and he's, like, having an auction for it between, like, all the people who can afford this giant gold
statue of a lady. Yeah.
They want to melt it down, though.
He wants to melt it down because he's only interested in just selling the parts.
Okay.
He doesn't care about peace. But yeah, Autolycus obviously offended that anybody could pull off such an amazing heist. He has to defend his crown of King of Thieves. So he recruits Xena and Gabs to help him by calling in that favor from the quest. So again, we have a quest callback, and this one is much more elaborate. Yes. He describes how inconvenient it was for him to have Xena living in his body. And I love that little beat where he talks about having to listen to Gabrielle whining about how much she misses Xena, which was really moving and emotional, Autolycus. Jeez. The thing that I thought was funny about this episode, and I don't necessarily think it did that great of a job of, like, keeping these balls in the air, but this idea that Autolycus needs to use stealth and finesse to steal the statue back. And Xena, meanwhile, isn't into subtlety and just goes in and beats people up.
Right.
Like, it's a really weird characterization of Xena, because we see her MacGyving the shit out of people all the time. Like, she is totally into strategy and finesse.
Dare we say Terry Winter does not know Xena?
Terry picked a very particular, picture of the character, and just, I mean, in places it is funny. Like, I like that moment where they're doing bad cop, good cop.
Bad Centurion, good Centurion.
Which is totally the game that Gabrielle and Joxer play in his imagination. Remember Centurion games?
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
But, I thought moments like that, it was funny having them kind of squabble about, like, how to approach a situation, and Xena just being like, fuck that.
Well, to me it seemed more like convenient for the script, because clearly it would be the easiest thing to do would be for Xena to solve this problem immediately. So instead she had to be, like, every time be reminded, no, we're doing Autolycus' plan, so I can't do this, like, we have to do this elaborate ridiculous thing instead.
Even though Xena loves to dress up and try to trick people in her own dumb plans.
It's true.
Whatever. This episode doesn't make a lot of sense. I would say that most of this episode is really just an excuse for Bruce Campbell, Lucy Lawless, and Renee O'Connor to dress up in a series of very silly outfits.
Yeah, we know that they love to do characters in this show, and for sure this was the episode. Like, that's the whole design.
There's, like, literally nothing else for them to do but play characters.
I mean, starting with Autolycus as the grandma on the dog.
I mean, that was funny.
That was funny. I liked the fake out. It felt a little bit problematic.
I know. Well, the jar is open big time for this episode.
Xena, like, racially profiles a dude, you think, but then it just turns out she's doing elder abuse.
Put it in just in case.
I don't know.
It's true.
The other funny preliminary costume is Bruce Campbell in this aqua lung, this it's kind of steampunky undersea diving bell outfit.
This was another like ancient scuba diving situation. It was funny. Like there's no way it's functional whatsoever. Although it seemed like it's snorkeling, but at the same time it came right from under the water.
Yeah, no, he was like under the water in that. He's got like a man's bikini thing happening and like flippers, and I noticed they had like a little like frog sound effect for him.
Oh my god.
They really just did it for the visual, and it was a pretty great visual.
But at the same time it's like you can see how like the seeds of fish sticks are there, like they're continuing. Just jonesing to do Married with Fish Sticks.
But yeah, then the main dressing up costume, we have Xena and Gabrielle pretending to be these two fences once they get to Mykonos.
So I loved that they kind of name-checked a place that, well, obviously like Rome, that you know that, but like I like that they mentioned a place in Greece that's like a place.
A big place.
A big place.
Yeah.
So, like I love it.
So that's how you know, I guess, that Tarsus is like a really big, important merchant dude because he's from this famous Greek town.
Sure. I mean, he has his own like big old castle there. Yeah. That's pretty good. Unless he's renting, I don't know.
I mean, if he's not from there, that would make stuff make more sense. If he's not Greek and everyone in this castle is from not Greece.
Explain what you mean.
The entire influence of the costuming and music is certainly much more Middle Eastern. I don't know what it's referencing specifically, but it's very confusing.
It's super confusing. Yeah. And then, of course, you have Myopia and Ezra, the two fences, who are wearing, I don't even know what that's supposed to be. I mean, there's definitely some turbans and some silks.
Let's just straight up, Myopia is supposed to be some kind of like Indian accent.
That's what it sounds like sometimes, but sometimes it sounds almost Slavic. But sometimes it sounds like Renee O'Connor speaking.
But now here's the question. This is 2 times that Gabrielle has done an accent, right?
Right, the Marchesa was the first.
And now they've both been very poor. Now, is it Gabrielle who's bad at accents, or is it Renee?
I think she's just really method. Like, she seems like she's so bad at accents.
Gabrielle would be bad at accents.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so sure. So it's Gabrielle who's not quite cutting it here. But it is definitely, I for sure heard some of that, like, you know, like an Indian accent at one point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, because of the turban.
Yeah, I forget. There was one particular line where I think Xena introduces Bentley, her henchman, where Gabrielle
also
says,
not great.
Also really not great. Yeah.
It's like,
disabled people, like
guys.
Various, like, I mean, part of it is that it's so non-specific. You're just like, what are you even making fun of?
But he's being the hunchback of no, he's being Igor.
Yeah, I think it's
because he's doing the voice
too. Yeah.
I don't like this episode so much because when you get down to it, sometimes it's just a little embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Rob Tappert is really just straight up embarrassed by it. Mm-hmm. He mentions it as one of the episodes he really dislikes and thinks was a failure. I think he's maybe a little too hard on it because I'm like, it's fun. Yeah. You know, you can see that everybody's having a good time. You know, they're definitely worse, more boring episodes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I agree with you that I feel like a lot of this kind of role playing it's not the best version of any of this that we've seen. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you could just rewind to Royal Couple of Thieves, where, like, basically the same exact plot. There's a castle, there's an auction, people come in disguise, Xena is the hench person of Autolycus.
Right.
It just worked a lot better there. Here, it really is just hinging on, like, just the pure silliness of seeing, like, Xena's mole as Ezra, which, I mean, mole.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
guacamole. They do get some mileage out of that.
That was out already, right? This is taken from Austin Powers?
I haven't done the math. I'm not sure.
Oh,
it might not be. I'm not sure.
Who did it first?
It might be like 99 is Austin Powers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I really liked the competitiveness between Ezra and Myopia. That's one of the funnier bits in this episode, that Xena and Gabrielle just get so into these characters.
Yeah. I totally agree.
That they're actually trying to bet on this statue. I also really liked Ezra's throwaway line where she first meets Myopia and is like, like, you used to be beautiful.
That's harsh. These are like all improv.
Does she think Myophia's old? Like,
I don't know.
That line about?
I don't know. She didn't have to like improv like that.
Gabrielle looks so like, huh?
Right.
Like, she's not even offended. She's just confused.
So wait, let's talk a little bit more about Ezra. So this is Lucy Lawless's character that. No, you said that she based it on like a real estate agent.
Yeah,
from
in New York. And yeah,
Right.
I guess you hear that kind of cartoon New Yorker.
I heard The Nanny. Like, that's what she reminded me of.
She's doing Fran Drescher.
Yeah, which is New York.
Mr. Sheffield.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, she's from Queens or whatever. So like I can see, but I can also see like the real estate agent for sure.
Did you guys think that this was Xena doing a send-up of Meg?
Oh, you think she's basing this character off of Meg?
I mean, I definitely think when they get rumbled by Tarsus and his henchwoman Thea, another Thea,
Oh my God.
gave me flashbacks.
She was the one who was obsessed with
his hump.
Yeah, what is going on
Put a
in this
coin.
episode?
Yeah, that was...
No, I don't know what, I mean...
I think it was because she
I'm
was
asking
only
seriously.
pretending to be obsessed with it,
Yeah.
so she could touch it and
Right.
determine whether it was
Really?
real.
I was
Okay.
really kind of like into
You think
this
she
woman
was
was
into
like
it.
really into this. And I was like, wow, this show's really going places.
Well, I mean, what I was struck by is once they're in this situation where he's like, Autolycus, the King of Thieves,
Yeah.
you know, you made me, ha ha ha. Xena drops the act, or so it seems, by kind of doing this Meg thing where she's like, Otto!
Oh yeah.
Oh, baby!
That's like,
He
this is
made
the part
me do
that I
it!
like. This is like her when Xena loves to be a ham.
Yeah.
And that's really fun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really like this either.
So you don't
I don't
like Ezra.
anything anybody is doing in this episode. Yeah,
That's, I mean, that's legit. This episode is not good.
It all makes me uncomfortable in a way that I don't like. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's a few episodes that go to places that I'm just like a little bit not happy about. Like it makes me uncomfortable.
And her accent isn't even, it's just a silly. And I just don't,
Yeah.
I'm just
Really
like
silly.
not, it's just,
But there's like a level.
I don't like watching
are you
it.
feeling a little bit of like secondhand embarrassment?
no, not for her because she's great at it. I just
Yeah.
don't, like for me, I'm just like, hey, I don't like this. It's like, it's like, I don't know. Not my favorite thing that the show does sometimes.
Yeah.
Though I do love the Meg stuff. That's
No,
different.
Meg is a full fleshed out character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was weird to see it through this funhouse mirror here, where she's sort of doing her take on that, which is very mean.
Yeah.
Like, I hope this isn't how she sees Meg. You just fell in love with the wrong guy. But that moment is weird, because, like, she's like, Otto, baby, I still love you. And you see Autolycus reacting to it in, like, a real way.
Oh no.
Like, he's struck by it.
Uh-oh. Well,
She calls him Auto Baby at the end, which
Yeah.
is the best.
Yeah, the
And worth
ending,
it.
the ending part is great. How she resurrects that accent. I have this whole headcanon about Xena over the course, especially of the various Xena doubles episodes, like learns to act and like really likes it by this point.
Yeah.
Like her performances as an actress, not
she's
Lucy,
enjoying
but
it.
Xena, have gotten much better, and she's learning to have fun with it.
Nice.
And yeah, I think that is something you can see throughout the show.
did we mention how they said that Ezra and Bentley were fucking?
Yes, up in their room. Everyone's fine with that. Why else
Her
would she
manservant.
have him around? He's clearly useless.
Oh boy.
But that too felt like a callback to Royal Couple of Thieves, where she was presented as his secretary, but then he changed it to concubine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Tarsus and Autolycus and their vendetta.
We find out that Tarsus is that dude who killed Autolycus's brother, which we've had mention of in previous episodes. I don't really remember exactly how
I feel
it's
like
been
in the
mentioned.
I feel like in his first episode you find out
Yeah.
some kind of like his backstory.
His sob story, yeah.
I think of this episode as Autolycus's death mask.
Oh, great.
Which is, and it feels that way too, because at the end of the day, it's like a not good episode of Xena.
And, you know, it's trying to kind of score some emotional kudos by being like, oh, look, like, I'm actually an important part of this character's past. And you're kind of like, really? Are you?
And it's like you're disappointed by finding out, like, this is the man who made Autolycus, you know, the King of Thieves, basically.
You didn't like Tarsus? You were... I mean, Tarsus is no, dude. Cortez.
Oh.
That dude was terrible.
Yeah.
This guy is at least trying, but he's just sort of like a mediocre Xena villain in a mediocre Xena episode.
I like this
covered in horrible bronzer and eyeliner.
Yeah.
Yes.
The coin. We're running out of
the coins.
I like this actor. This actor was in Dirty Six and I think something else.
Yeah.
So, like, you know,
he's fun.
He's fun. But the character and like, oh my God, no.
He has this one good moment that I liked where he rolls backwards after being they're like threatening him, and then they like pull away and he like rolls away, like literally back rolls, and the actor I think did that. It was funny. I liked it. So props to you, Tarsus.
Right. So through this whole thing, we find out that like the way that Autolycus gets this statue back and like one-ups Tarsus in the end is by like painting a false wall to hide the statue.
I think they totally missed out on a little painting montage of Xena and Gabs like getting paint on their nose.
Yes.
You know, the two lesbians with their paint job. Like that would have been like a really funny moment. But of course they don't do it because they think it's somehow some kind of amazing reveal that like they've like put the statue behind a wall. Like it's not dramatic at all, and one of the things that makes this episode so utterly pointless because it thinks it's being so clever about this heist, but it's really just like
this big general dude comes to bid on the statue, and it's like, where's the statue? It's gone. Oh my God. And like Tarsus is, you know, threatened and like
humiliated
and everything.
Made small.
And yeah, that's the reveal is that Autolycus is the King of Thieves still.
Hooray. And he gets this chance to kill Tarsus, who has throughout the episode kind of like mocked him and like tried to provoke him at his dark side. And you go, oh no, is Autolycus capable of being a murderer? And you don't ever really buy this particular threat.
I mean, you might have if like literally his first episode was this, you know, because you don't know, like I guess if you don't watch Hercules or whatever, like you don't know Autolycus, so you could be like, oh shit, like he could be, you know, but not at this point.
No, and not in this context. It's kind of like the King of Assassins that way, where you have like what could have been an interesting moral problem, like what to do about Jax, the murderous brother, but like you just know it's not going to take. Oh, who's Jax? Oh.
You're thinking of Pax.
I'm thinking of Vanderpump Rules.
Oh no.
But you know that's just not like it's too silly of an episode to actually deal with these issues. Like you know, Autolycus can't kill anybody, and lo and behold, he does not.
Oh man.
I don't know. You could totally have him kill someone in this episode because remember the episode about Seltzer and then Xena died? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Don't put anything past this show.
That's true. You're right. And it does love to mix its tones. But this episode, and also, not
like,
so much.
We have, you know, at this point, like, Gabrielle is a murderer. So why can't we just have Autolycus murder someone too? Why not?
Yeah, why
join the club.
Not? But anyway, Xena just beats him up and then arrests him. And Autolycus is like, you know, thanks. Sometimes your way works. And you're still confused about, like, her way versus his way. It's just like, what? Were there different ways?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I like that Xena would, you know, want to stop him from getting revenge because of his brother's murder. Because, like, that was her whole backstory. And that's what set her off on a, you know, very intense path. So, yeah. Plus, she sits in that window, so. Yeah.
Oh my god, that shot of her in the window is great.
And then they backflip together.
Oh my
what
god.
a good time.
Oh dear. Yeah.
It is funny, like when they did fights, like there was a moment where he ran up to her and like kind of behind her, like put his arms around her, and then like she did a crazy spin kick with him there, which unfortunately reminded me of Ulysses.
Oh no.
But
that's
it is,
right.
you know, like it's like a thing that she does with these dudes.
I like that she can like toss him around a bit, like a weapon or a rag doll, depending on the context. Like it is fun to see her be the action star and him be almost like a prop. So yeah, the end of the episode has is maybe the funniest little bit, I thought, where Xena again pretends to be Ezra just to amuse Otto.
Well, at that moment, it no longer seemed like New York, whatever. It was like old time Hollywood between them. You know,
darling.
she was doing that more. Like that's how I felt. I wanted that like circle wipe to come in.
Aw, and he kisses her.
Katie, how did your shipper heart feel about that?
Fine with it.
And then Gabrielle comes expecting a kiss as well.
Oh.
I like that.
Katie, how did your shipper heart feel about that?
Fine with it.
And he's just like, you'll miss me. Which is true. We all will, Otto.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, this episode was just really not that good.
Maybe the Matrix stole the slow motion from the fight.
Yeah.
In
the
the
fight
end.
was so weird. Why was
Oh my god!
all the slow-mo kicking? Like, it's just like,
I
Gabrielle,
almost didn't
kick,
register because I'm
Xena,
so
kick.
used to slow motion fighting.
And I think this show doesn't do it nearly enough.
But it wasn't
It wasn't
a thing.
good. It wasn't like
a
trying to make it look sexy.
That's the thing, right? Now, slowing down a fight makes it sexy automatically. However, like, the stuff they were doing was not sexy.
They were literally just doing
at
these
all.
can kicks.
They were doing choreography that required like regular speed for you to buy it, but it wasn't someone. Now I do give Andrew Merrifield a prop. Like
He's great.
I thought this was
He's directed
a really
some great episodes.
Yeah, but I thought this was like this fight scene. I like that he wanted to make it pretty with the slow mo, but I thought that the shot was really cool. Like it had Xena, Autolycus, Gabrielle fighting, and it was one shot. So like it was like you start in one, you see them fight, you move the camera, you see the next person, and then the next person. So it wasn't like cutaways to them. I mean, obviously there was some of that too, but I feel
Seeing
like
them
we
all
haven't really
fighting in the
seen,
same
yeah,
space.
and like
Yeah.
making it slow mo like really kind of like filled the frame with it, like more than.
All right, you're kind of making me rethink this. Maybe
I
it wasn't
liked
so
it.
bad.
I mean, it could have
To
been
me, it felt
like the
totally
choreography
pointless.
needed
Yeah.
to be way prettier.
Yeah. I actually was like, oh my god, they literally slowed this down and just had so much fight here to the point where I like literally like my mind wandered. I feel like this whole episode had pacing
It
problems.
must have been short. 'Cause
Yeah.
But
This
this
was
was
the one that had so much pretty B-roll.
so much B-roll.
It had a lot of
everywhere.
B-roll. It started with that B-roll from These Two Arms by Killa,
Yes.
the greatest Xena
That's
bit
where they got
ever.
it from.
Gabrielle in her first green top.
Oh, right,
So yeah, they're using all this old footage and these voiceovers to explain the plot to you, even though you don't need the explanations. So it
Yeah.
totally felt like it felt so weird that they're like, Xena's not here because she has business elsewhere. And then in the next scene, Gabrielle's
there.
like, I'm sorry, Xena's not here because she has business elsewhere. And then later too, they're like, when they're sailing on the ship, we get a bunch of boat B-roll, which
Yeah.
obviously makes my little heart go pitter-patter. But you hear Xena and Autolycus talking about like the plan, and it's you don't need to know this
Yeah.
stuff. Like the whole episode has this kind of inept quality where it keeps trying to explain things to you that don't need explaining.
One more thing about the fight slow-mo, it was in camera. It wasn't post. So
Was it
they
really?
they
did
They
that.
intended for that
Okay.
one to be slow and like beautiful, I think. And
All right.
just I feel like the
They need to
choreography
try
could
that
have-
again. Yeah.
because they're not used to that. Like
Yeah.
no director comes in is like. I mean, later I think
They have
a
some
little
more
bit in
slow-mo.
season 6. There's some glorious shots of Xena.
By
slow-mo.
then, it is probably
Yeah.
popularized by The Matrix, and people want to do more of that. Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that's
This
Vanishing
was
Act. Do we
an
wish
episode.
it would vanish?
Not as much as like Death Mask for
Yeah.
sure
I mean,
needed to vanish.
There is the funny parts of it.
Yeah.
Funny balanced with uncomfortableness.
I think whenever
Right.
you have Bruce Campbell there, you
Yeah.
know, it can't be a total throwaway because he's just so much fun. You know, that visual of him in the water lung thing is just so cute. Like, I do just...
Yeah, he comes out really funny.
Yeah, you can't help but give the man props. And this was, I think, unlike Tsunami, an episode that was just sort of, like, showing him off, like, giving him a chance to do all the things he does best.
Well, that was, like, a serious take on it. Yeah. Well, I mean, weirdly, like, this was supposed to be, because, you know, he almost murders a man.
Yeah, it was about his past.
But it
was not.
I feel like you feel more authentic Autolycus in Tsunami.
It shows what a good episode Tsunami was, because you're more afraid of him taking that necklace than you are of him killing a man. Like, the necklace feels like a much bigger crime in that moment, at least to me.
I was not, because he literally, that's every episode he's in is that.
It's him being like, should
dilemma.
I do a steal?
No, let me put the money back.
Put it back. That's why I'm like, of course you're a good man. When's the last time you ever did anything really bad? Please.
I know. All right, well, we did it, and it is done, and oh my god, we have 2 episodes of season 3 left to talk about. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're getting to it.
All right, so follow us on all the things.
Yeah. Go to our website, xenawarriorpodcast.com. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/xenawarriorpodcast. You can check out all the fun stuff that we're doing over there. Please find us on iTunes / now Apple Podcasts. I keep forgetting, where you can leave reviews. We always love to hear back from you over there. Leave stars and things and subscribe. We are on Twitter doing lots of fun stuff at Xena Warrior Pod, and Facebook and Tumblr. Search for Xena Warrior Podcast.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast. Gooey.